I was a bodyguard, broke out of the Mormon church, right? Found my own voice, found my own way. Was working my way up and struggling and hustling. I was a bodyguard. I was making 6 figures a year, had a family, had 2 kids, went through a divorce, went through a bankruptcy, lost my business because my business partner was terrible, and ended up on the street. And through that whole process, ever since I was a kid, I was writing and I was grinding. And then this pursuit of happiness moment happened.
Hey everyone, Adam Lupus here from the Up and Adam Show, bringing you back the old school vibes of late night television.
And look, anytime I try to talk or I talk to somebody and talk about where I grew up, where I came from, where I am now, what's happening now, projects I'm working on, everybody loves the rags to riches story, right? Doesn't mean it's true. And a lot of people try to oversell that like, look, you work your way up, you get to a certain level, and then you're there, and then you can kind of enjoy things. And that really is the American model. That's the American dream. That, you you sit there every day and go punch in, punch out, punch in, punch out, put the data in, and then eventually one day you'll be able to retire and enjoy the last like 3 years of your life before you're buried, and actually maybe get to travel somewhere and see something. For some people that's true. Look, man, I'm getting ready to start kicking 50's door down. I'm 44. And the people that I've met throughout my life, you would look at their IMDb credits, you would get on and go, oh, this fool must be like living it up, or living in a mansion or something, or rolling around on mattresses of cash. And, they're still working a 9 to 5 to make ends meet, and having 3, 4, 5 side hustles. And that really is the reality. To answer your question directly, like I got my start. I was always acting, like ever since I was a kid. I was in drama in elementary school, junior high school, and high school, and that was kind of my path. Like I wasn't a numbers guy. I really enjoyed science class. I really enjoyed like those kinds of things, but the environment of where I was and where I grew up in, we moved from Bellflower, California, and like Whittier, California, and moved out to what I call the ass crack of California, which is Lancaster, Palmdale. And it's like, dude, I mean, now it's kind of big and more developed, but back then it was just a desert town of like meth dealers and just crazy,
so
crazy
pure
shit.
Breaking Bad. It was like pure Breaking Bad stuff.
Yeah, totally, man. And yeah, absolutely. And it was just like, this world where I had to survive. And thankfully for me, particularly like my last years of junior high school, there was a drama teacher who saw something. I don't know what the hell he saw in me, but he saw something in me. And he also taught English class. So I was in his English class, and we had to, he was a little unorthodox. So he would go off from the textbooks and he would give us assignments and say, read, Sam Shepard, read, these plays, read Arthur Miller, read Shakespeare. And he would throw these things at us. And I remember we were reading in class one day, and it was just like we were going around the room reading. And then after class, he pulled me aside and he was like, hey, we're doing a play. I would really love you to audition. I'm like, whatever. Like, that's not happening. But he kept, because I was getting into trouble in school. I was constantly being, detention, suspension, fights, stuff. And so he pulled me in, had me audition, and that really like woke something up in me, particularly Shakespeare. Shakespeare ended up, being the thing that I really gravitated to. And I would just read those plays over and over and over again. And then, you know, that started me on that path, and then kept acting. I did some, you know, stand-up comedy for a while, but the thing that I could always go back to was writing, because I can write and I don't need anybody's permission to write. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to audition and go and have that, you know, like, please, 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 you know, that.
Yeah, to kind of get their approval. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a real thing. Like, every actor I've ever met, that thing is always there. You know, you could be off book, you could have your objective in a scene, you can know, you know, what you were the circumstances without which the scene would not exist.
Yeah.
You know, everything that's going to happen in this audition, and you come in, and, you know, your first line is, "Hi, my name is Adam, and I used to be a barber in front of my father's pool." And you and you come in and just go, you know, "Hi, my name is," "Thank you."
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
because they can know right away from that. Yeah, based on looks and everything. Yeah.
Right. And then you're just like, "Oh, do you want me to start again?" No, that'll be enough. Thanks, Adam. Thank you for coming. And but then you leave. And most actors, when they leave auditions, they go, "I wasn't good enough. I wasn't prepared enough. Shit. Like, I spent the last 4 days, you know, studying this or learning a French accent or doing whatever. And I'm just not good enough. I'm not fucking good enough because the gods didn't, you know, bestow upon me this role." And that's just not the truth. It's out of your control. The whole damn thing is out of your control, unless, you know, somebody, you're banging somebody, you're related to somebody, you know, come from money,
exactly.
And so anyway, so writing was just like the thing. I didn't need anybody's permission. Nobody, you know, I could write whenever I want. I could create worlds and characters. One of my the first things that I wrote was in elementary school. I wrote this story that I still have called "The Adventures of Max," and it was all about this rabbit who was in space, and he was taking on like all these like evil overlords that lived on different planets.
Yeah.
And I wrote that, and because I just wanted to escape, like, you know, and didn't need anybody's permission.
Yeah. So the thing that I really liked what you said about all that, a couple of things I took. One was that about the writing aspect too, right? How you said that you don't need anybody's permission to write. You can do whatever you want. It's kind of like you're telling a story. Listen, I've written a couple short little scripts. They're not very good. I'm not a writer, but I just kind of did it because the same thing you did. It's like an escape. You can kind of, you know, it's just one idea can blossom into this whole entire story. And the cool thing about it is that let's say me and you have a very similar idea, if not the same idea. Me and you can both write it and take it into any direction we want. You know what I mean? Like, for example, that rabbit Max, right? You said that the Adventures of Max. So they have a show, obviously, Max and Ruby, right? So again,
right,
you and someone else. Let's say the writer of Max and Ruby and you sat down and you guys said, let's create a story about a rabbit named Max. They would have created Max and Ruby. You would have created that a rabbit going to space and fighting off the villains and stuff. You know what I mean? I thought that was really interesting that you said that too, because that's what the beauty about writing is. And, you know, again, you can write. You can even write something for a particular actor that is maybe good for a certain role, and they may catch an interest too. They may go, wow, you know what? Yeah, I am perfect for that role. You know, I want to try to do that. Another thing that I also caught on that you said was about people think, you know, they look at you or they look at other writers or anybody in this industry. They think, yeah, you're living in a mansion, you're living it up, you have all this money and stuff like that. For your case, because you're a writer, you're actually the first screenwriter I've had on this show, so I'm not even sure.
Wow, man, I'm honored. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an honor to have you to speak about this stuff, because I'm curious myself. Why do you think a lot of times, because writing is the main thing. If you have a bad script, the whole movie is going to be shot. Okay, it's going to be terrible. Yeah. Right. But why is it sometimes that a lot of writers...
So far I'm two shitty scripts for two, so that's great.
Oh, come on.
At least according to critics. So all right, let's see how this goes. No,
but do critics matter?
No, they don't.
They don't.
You know, I remember he said this to me one time. What did he say? I want to get it right, because it was, oh man, it was spot on. When Man Down came out, I had just met, and I got to tell the story. It's great.
Yeah.
Uh, I met this producer, Tracy Falco,
Okay.
and she's great. We've been friends for a long time, and she had been trying to introduce me to Joe Carnahan because I'd been a fan of his for a while. By all kinds of different means, I'd gotten a hold of his scripts and kind of reverse engineered them and read them, even
Yeah.
his television scripts. And as fate would have it, I was on the Universal lot and meeting with Douglas Sosby. And look this guy up. You want to talk about somebody who's got like cockroach resilience and is just a beautiful human being. And I don't even think Doug knows like how much he changed my life. Like the kindness that he showed me at a time where I was really, really low. And so Doug had written this movie called Boulevard that was directed by Dito Montiel. It was Robin Williams' last film.
Okay. Cool.
And Dito directed Man Down. And Dito was like, "You gotta meet Doug. Bro, you gotta meet Doug. You gotta go down. You guys gotta meet. You'll get on. Like, it'll be great." So I contacted Doug, and Doug's like, "Come down to the Universal lot. Let's meet." So there I am. I'm on the Universal lot. We're walking around. We grabbed a bite to eat. And, Doug asked me, who are your top influences as far as like writing is concerned? I'm like, everybody loves Tarantino. I mentioned him before, Sam Shepard, who I got to meet just months before he passed. Just like a highlight of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Shepard, I was like, David Mamet, Arthur, all these people, but I'm like, Joe Carnahan, man, like there's something like some kind of gritty realism in everything that he writes, that there's an honesty and also some fraud in what he writes, but like it's, anyway, man, without getting oogly boogly, Doug asked me this and I brought up Joe and he goes, well, he's shooting his television show on the lot. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We finished this conversation. I get up, I go walking out the door and there he is. Like literally walking in.
Oh my
and
God.
Doug goes, oh, that's funny. And I go, yeah, that's funny. And he goes, are you going to let that pass you by? And I was like, hell no. So I walked over and I was like, this is in life, first thing I ever said to the man. I said, Joe motherfucking Carnahan, how's the greatest director writer on earth doing this morning?
No,
and
that is iconic, man. You said that?
Yeah. Then he looks at me and he goes, I'm great, bro. Who the fuck are you?
Bro, that could have went two other ways. You could have said that.
It could have gone two ways. It could have been,
man?
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, let me tell you this. When I met Ed Harris, I crashed. So I was so psycho, dude. After Man Down, I was psychotic. I flew because I was developing this TV show based on the works of Shakespeare with my best fucking friend in the world, Noah Danby. I can't say enough about this guy. He's a tremendous actor and one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. And so we're developing this idea, and I'm like, who do we want for this? Who can we get for this? And he's like, bro, Ed Harris. This one character, we could get Ed Harris. And I'm like, where the fuck is Ed Harris? I start looking. He's doing The Buried Child in London with Frances McDermott and Sam Shepard. So I'm like, fuck this, man. I'm gonna go meet him. So I fly to London because I wasn't getting anything from agents and managers. You never get anything from, I'd take that back. You never get a lot from agents. You can get some dialogue and conversations going from managers. Mm-hmm. So I fly out there, crash their rehearsal. So I got the script in my fucking hand, and I go walking in. They're coming out. They're chatting. It's literally those three are just talking. And I come walking up, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? Listen, Ed, I worked with Gary Oldman on Man Down, and we talked about State of Grace, which is one of my all-time favorite films. Mm-hmm. I love that fucking movie." And anyway, we had talked. I'm just rambling, and I was like, I had talked, to him about you, and I tried reaching out to your agents. I got this script, and I just wanted to get it in your hands to read. And this is what he does, dude. He goes like this. He's just staring at me, like, and if I could do a good impression, like it was like this. he's looking at me. Let me get the smile off my face.
Yeah.
He's looking at me and he goes like this. Just imagine I'm
Yeah.
I know your favorite movie's fanboying out, and he goes, "Fuck you."
No.
Yeah, just like that.
Why would he? Why?
But listen, this is how I took it. Like, right? Like, who the fuck is this guy crashing my rehearsal? Like, from his perspective, he's just like, fuck you, man. Like, what are you coming here pitching me like right now? Like, I've just been in rehearsal for like 10 hours. He didn't elaborate. All he said was, fuck you. Like, I'm going to punch you in the face. But how I rolled off of it is when he said it, he goes, fuck you. And I go, no, man, I'm serious. I'm like, State of Grace is my favorite movie.
Going. He's like, did you not hear what I
just keep going? I just keep going. I'm just railroading over him with kindness. And then he's like starts to get like this twitch, and he drops his stuff, and he like his weight shifts. I'm like, he is going to throw a punch. And then I was like, anyway, I don't want to bother you anyway. I've got this thing. And he goes, you know what? Fuck it. You're all right. All right. Let me see this thing.
That is a pure. You know what that reminds me of? Something that would happen in Entourage.
Yeah.
That's something like Ari Gold would be like, you know what? Fuck it. Give it to me.
Yeah. It was just such a cool moment, man. It was so fun. I was rambling. I don't even remember how we got there. I was
but dude, this is what I'm trying to say. This is why I love what I do with my show, because I just want to have a genuine conversation with people. Just wherever it takes us. That's what the beauty of what this show is, man.
Brother, that's where it was. Joe.
So there we go. We're back on track, ladies and gentlemen.
Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry, man. I really need more Adderall. Anyway, so where it goes is critics is where we were going. And then we ended up on the Joe train, then we ended up in England. But Joe said his saying to me was, what is the best critic? What is the best critic without the worst artist? Nothing.
Yeah.
And he's right. Like, and he said that to me because we were talking about Man Down. He's like, brother, I saw that movie and it got such a bad rap. And to be attacked the way it was and all that stuff. But he said that, and that stuck with me. Like, I've seen, and that's not to say there isn't value in criticism and critique and appreciating not just critics of film, but of books and pieces of art. And that's all great. But I have, and having conversations like these, and I've had conversations with people who are like, I can't stand your shit. I can't stand your writing. I can't stand any movie you've done. And I've had very fruitful conversations with those people. But it always seems the best conversations come from at least those who have an understanding about the process. And when people don't, fuck, man, like that's the hardest thing.
I think that comes down to ignorance for people who don't understand the process. That's ignorance, I think, because essentially it is ignorance. Yeah, because again, I don't know anything about writing. I may see a movie. Actually, I'll give you a prime example. Okay, I haven't seen the movie Dune yet. I haven't seen it. But I was talking to two of my friends. Okay, one is a big movie lover. Like he's an aspiring director and everything. He's a younger guy. He's like late teens, early 20s. And then I have another friend who's not anything, that has nothing to do with movies, nothing. He's just doesn't care about that stuff, right? He went to go see Dune. He said, Adam, that movie was shit. I talked to the other guy who loves movies. He goes, best movie I've ever seen in my life. Like, he goes, that was an amazing movie, great. So I'm trying to put the pieces together. This happened a couple of days ago. So this kind of relates to what you're talking about too. It's the whole notion of that, it's perspective. And it's like, it's at the end of the day, movies are art, writing's art. Someone may like the movie for the cinematography and think that, wow, that was what it was meant to do. It was supposed to be a cinematic experience. The other guy might just be like, wow, it was so boring. Well, that's what he said. Oh, it was boring. It was, I don't know, it was terrible. And I'm like, but I asked him, I said, but how was the cinematography? How was the acting? oh, I don't know, it was boring though. I'm like, okay, well then see, you're being ignorant. And that is how someone that if you were to review that movie on like an app or like a movie website or something like that, you understand like his review, even though it's one person, if many people think like that, that's what gives the movie a bad rep. You know what I mean? So I think that's exactly what you were trying to say too. Like it's all perspective.
Dude, that's a really good point. Like there's a lot of people who that's the litmus test. Did I enjoy it? I didn't enjoy it. Fuck this movie.
Yeah.
And you know, the biggest problem with that in where we live now and why a lot of things are getting shut out is this. This is also really great. Uber Eats. Uber Eats.
This is really great, guys. This episode is sponsored by
this app. This fucking app is ruining movies.
I'm getting paid nothing for this Uber Eats sponsor.
So great. No, it's the cell phone. Is that everybody has a voice, and I think there's a great benefit to that. There's so many unique and incredible things that are coming out in conversations that are happening. The flip side of that, like there's great good, there's great cost.
Yeah.
I think the great cost is, you know, that line that Syndrome says in The Incredibles, you know, once everybody is super, no one will be.
And that's smart.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
And, you know, once everyone is talking, it's what Bo Burnham says in his special, who I fucking love that guy. I think he is just an absolute genius.
I've never watched him, to be honest with you.
Oh, dude, brother, did you watch his special on Netflix?
No.
This guy literally wrote, direct, shot his whole thing using iPhones. Locked himself in his guest house for a year and just created this special and filmed the whole thing himself. And it's really
props to him.
Yeah, I mean, just whatever you think about the content, like just his ability to be able to do that is incredible and should be, you know, looked at and examined. But he said something in this special where he goes, "Does everyone?" Or he said, "Is there?" That's how he couched it. I think he couched it as the double negative. I can't remember, but anyway, he said, "Can anyone?" And I mean anyone, just anyone, shut the fuck up about anything. Can anyone shut the fuck up about anything? Or it's such a great point. Like we all have to weigh in. All have to weigh in. And it's nobody is critical thinking. We're losing some critical thought. We're losing analysis. We're losing like really nuanced discussion because everybody's just shotgunning whatever they think in the moment, right when they see it, bam, it goes on to that.
Because it's so accessible on these things. That's why it's quick.
Right.
So people don't think before they do things sometimes. It's not like listen, I didn't grow up in the 80s or the 90s or anything like that, but I'm assuming that back then, you know, let's say you were upset about something. It was a process to kind of get your word out there. And once you kind of got your word out there, you think more rational. You go, okay, like, should I say something? Should I do this? Like, maybe there was a reason that this happened. Like, you think more rational. Otherwise, again, like I mentioned, my friend, he saw Dune, right? He could have either, I'm not sure the process, how it would be back then, but now it's like, boom, review submitted. That's it. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then after it's like, you know what? Maybe I was being a little too harsh. Maybe I was being a little too rational, but it's already there. It's too late.
Yeah, I've said what I said, no regrets. And it's just like, and there's a shift happening, right? Because like, you know, the people I know, the people who are in my life, guys like, you know, guys like a Noah Danby, guys like, you know, Carlos Aviles is an actor. He's a great actor, phenomenal actor. He's on that show Good Girls, and he's a sweetheart of a human being. Mm-hmm. You look at him and you're like, oh, that guy rip your arms off and beat you to death with it. But he's just a really great guy. My cousin, Zach Fernandez, who's an incredible artist. My business partner, Andrea Bucco. These are people who grew up in a world where, Willie Warren is another great friend of mine, and talk about struggle. This guy's struggled so fucking much in his life. But they're all people who came from a world where there's consequences, like where there's real world consequences for the things you say, and there's an accountability. And, someone will show up to your face and say, what did you say? And there's there's consequences, both violent and non. Like, you lose things, you lose relationships, and we're so quick to throw people out, destroy people, ruin people, and we're on this thing. I don't know what, and I wanted to ask you, you're a really savvy, it's interesting to look at you, and when Denise, there's somebody who came from a world where it's like, I love this whistling. It's like this fucking retainer I got in my mouth. I was a minor. I was listening. I was going anyway.
You sound like the guy from Family Guy that, hey, you want the popcorn? I can't do it.
Hey, little boy, you want to come over? What's that guy's name, dude?
I think Herbert the Pervert. I think that's his name.
Herbert the Pervert is so great. I sound like Herbert the Pervert. Thanks, Adam.
Hey guys, today we're joined by the guy who plays Herbert the Pervert on Family Guy. Please welcome Adam Simon.
Oh my God.
There you go. It's gonna be everywhere. Hollywood Reporter, everywhere. Adam Simon is the guy. He's the real
Herbert. Oh my God, dude, you cracked me up.
And I'm sure you probably know this by now from our conversation. I have an old soul. That's just what I've been known for from people I've talked to, because even the way my show's been branded, the colors, the name, I love, and I'm very into the whole 80s and 90s eras, even though I have not lived in them. But what I will say is I totally agree with you. And that's why I was actually gonna make a video about it today or tomorrow, about the actual current state of late night television and, my views on that, because again, I want to get into that type of field. And not to shame how it is now, but I think it could be better. And I think there's a lot of opinions I have about it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Listen, I'm guilty of it, man. I go on my phone all the time. And one thing I will say is that I try to, every conversation I have with somebody, I never try to talk bad about something or talk about conspiracies or this or that. I guess my question to you is, how do you stay sane, and what keeps you motivated in every day to push through all that negative bullshit?
I'm at a weird place, like, honestly, and it's funny because this guy Adam with his Up and Adam show, like, you're the first person to kind of like draw this out of me. Like, dude, it's tough. Like, it's so hard. Like, it's so hard right now. Like, I can't even, and I got no qualm saying that and letting the world hear it, because I'm in the world of make believe and bullshit. And dude, if I had to tell you the things that I've had to do to survive, like, post COVID, post, man down, you would be like, what? Because the narrative that everyone, including, my managers and my agent, what everybody wants me to say is, I was a bodyguard. Here's the Adam Simon story. I was a bodyguard, broke out of the Mormon church, right? Found my own voice, found my own way. Was working my way up and struggling and hustling. I was a bodyguard. I was making 6 figures a year, had a family, had 2 kids, went through a divorce, went through a bankruptcy, lost my business because my business partner was terrible, and ended up on the street. And through that whole process, ever since I was a kid, I was writing and I was grinding. And then this pursuit of happiness moment happened, where I was, writing this letter to my son. And this is all true, yes. But I wrote this letter to my son about how much I loved him and how much I missed him and I wanted to be with him. And I wrote a letter to my daughter and telling her how much I believed in her, because I didn't know, honestly, dude, if I was going to be alive next week. And that's the truth. And I sent it to them. And those letters turned into Man Down, at least the beginning of the movie. The letter that Shia LaBeouf is writing to his kid is a letter that I wrote to my son. And then Man Down happened. And then I'm at the Venice Film Festival, man. I'm seeing Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm talking to him, and I'm talking to this big time producer. I'm meeting this person. And then I met Joe, And then we started writing and collaborating on stuff. And then I met, Joe Lynch, and we did, Point Blank together. And I met Anthony Mackie, and he's cool. All this shit's true. And then happily ever after. That's not the truth. The truth is it's a fucking struggle just to keep my head above water, mentally, physically, financially. Like, if you look at WGA minimums, and this is all available online, like, that's what I got paid. I got paid bottom rung scale on Man Down. Try to live off that rate for 6 years, because that's all I was doing. And I was polishing scripts, taking little jobs here, working with people, networking. Those things are all true, but it's so fucking hard. So when people come down on Hollywood and on the artists who work here, my first inclination, just like New York actors as well, people who are working in plays on Broadway, my God, they got hit so hard with COVID. My first inclination is just to go, hey, fuck you. Because the majority of people working in this industry, the damn it, man, like the DPs, the grips, the even producers, like line producers and actors and stuff, man, these people, sure, you go to their Instagrams and they're fake laughing. I don't know what the fuck that's about. Like, this idea where it's like, hey man, take a picture of me. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Like, what is that? I don't know what that is. But it's like, you look at this world of make-believe, and the sad truth is, like Las Vegas, Hollywood is built off of losers. It's not built off of people winning. It's not built off of those giant casinos that you see are not built off of people winning and fucking taking the casino and taking the house and making all kinds of money. It's built off of people dumping their children's life in their children's inheritance into the slot machines like mindless bunnies. And Hollywood is filled, the same way. And it's tragic. You see, so many things. So this idea of Hollywood elite or any of that, there is a Hollywood elite, but the majority of those people came from money and have no idea what it's like to stab somebody for food, And so my story really hasn't ended. My story is just beginning. And as much as I'm sure anybody, on my team would watch this, what I'm saying to you right now, and go, God damn it, Adam, God damn it, shut up. It's like, I gotta be honest and I gotta tell the truth. And the truth is, it's fucking rough, dude. And COVID just about killed me. Like,
I'm really curious to know, like, I mean, why is it that why writers, for example, it's like I said earlier, right? Writers have the most, like, without them, there is no story, right? Why is it that you guys get paid that little for something like, for example, Man Down, like a movie with Shia LaBeouf, Gary Oldman, like, why was it that you got paid that little for that?
I was repping myself.
Okay.
At the time, I didn't have a lawyer. I didn't have a manager. I didn't have an agent.
Okay.
There was an actor who I worked with years later who will remain nameless, in part because when I see him, I'm going to smack the Juvederm out of his face. But he said to me one time when I was recounting this story, he said, well, should have gotten a lawyer, should have got a better person, should have stood up for yourself. Then you could have gotten paid. He goes, I don't give a shit about your sob story. And I was like, ooh, okay. Hollywood really is my journey in Hollywood. I remember sitting on film sets with my father. I was on the John Larroquette show back in the day.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that is, but I'll check
Night Court. Do you ever hear this television show, Night Court?
No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, man, this is like a whole new, like, you'll go back and check it out. But it was a super popular show, right? And I was sitting on the set, under a crafty table, and I was a baby, and was going with my dad to visit these sets. I went to the set of The Usual Suspects. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there and got to meet the whole cast and like all that stuff. But so the illusion was kind of wiped away from a very early age. Like, I saw the nuts and bolts and like how things came together. But my experience in this world at this stage dealing with actors and especially because I'm producing, right? Andrea Bucco, my business partner, who's a fucking stud, man. I can't say enough good things about this girl and a survivor and just a badass. Drove here from Canada in her car and posted up, like without a job, without anything, like lived out of her car. And like, she'd be great to talk to for you as well. But like, we produced this film on our way in the middle of the pandemic. Sophie Lane Curtis, it's her directorial debut. She's a brilliant artist and just a deep soul and a wonderful human being. But we had James Badge Dale, Jordana Brewster, Michael Richardson, Keith Powers. Keith Powers is going to own a studio one day. But, we did that during the pandemic. Now we're producing The Performance with Jeremy Piven, who I know you're trying to talk to.
He's so cool, man. Already gold.
Oh, and I honestly believe that when people see what he is going to do with this character, it's game over. And I'm really happy. But this, that level, right? Mm. You got to understand that it's like this. Shia bugs me all the time because he says, you got to stop speaking in metaphors, man. Just fucking tell people what time it is. Like, stop talking in metaphors. But it's the only way I know how to articulate my point. I was on a walking safari in Africa. I was doing a bodyguard job for these executives that were doing nonprofit work out there. And I strayed away from the camp to go use the restroom. I was just going to take a leak outside. And all of a sudden, this guy grabs me, this Ghanaian guide who we were working with. He grabs me and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm just going to the bathroom." And he pulls out his spotlight and goes like this, and it was eyes, like looking at me. And he goes, "Don't do that." And I just went, "Oh my God." And that's been my experience in Hollywood at this level.
Yeah.
Is you get out there and you go, "Oh, got it." Like, it's a free for all, right? Like, it's a dog fight. It's a knife fight, really. And, I've seen friends betray friends, family members betray family members. And so you just got to keep your circle tight. And the reason why writers get paid so little, getting back to your original question, is it's because, man, there was a shift. There was a time and the good news is we're actually coming back to that, where story was king, because now there was that window of stars and celebrity and like, my God, here he is, Tom Cruise, my God, there he is. I think the last person to have that like star effect, like boom, like he can just run the world, is The Rock. Like, The Rock has got such a massive following and he's such a presence.
I love The Rock.
He's
so cool.
Yeah, he's incredible. But like this idea of like celebrities and stars, like it's over, man. Like, it's over.
Well, yeah. It's funny to touch on that point. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's really cool because I know, for example, like look at Matt Reeves, Robert Eggers, these directors, or like other writers. Yeah, you know what I mean? But you're right. Like, maybe like 15, 20 years ago, no one would be saying like, "Oh, look at this director, look at this writer." Now it's all about, "Oh, I wonder who's directing it. I wonder who's writing it. I wonder who's gonna produce these things." Like, that's the talk now. Because you're right. A lot of the actors now, it is doing that shift. I think also, besides The Rock, who's really what's it called? Making a really big
Ryan Reynolds is great too, man. Reynolds is awesome. Ryan Reynolds is awesome.
Yeah, him too. Who's young and up and coming as well too? Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, for sure.
That guy is on top of the world. But he's a good actor. Great actor.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. And it's funny, my girlfriend says I kind of look like him a little bit. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I can see that. All right.
It's the hair.
I can see that. Yeah, like if Timothy Chalamet and Jesus had a baby, you'd be great. You got this.
I got that nice scruff. That's it. So I guess that's where the Jesus part comes in, the beard, right?
But they yeah, so I think that window of like stardom is like faded. And
Yeah.
before that, it was like story. It was all about story. And then there was this window where it's like you can make an amazing trailer for an absolute shit film, for an absolute dog shit film. And that movie could make like a ton of money just based off the hype that you
Yeah.
generated. Right? Now people go, this movie's dog shit, and it travels around the world in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's got to be good. I mean, look at Squid Game, man. Like Squid Game is the highest watched show in Netflix's history. No names, nobody that's recognizable. It's in Korean, and but the story is great.
Phenomenal.
And it's this really interesting thing in the examination of like where we are, and it gravitated to so many people. And I think now it's starting to shift. Better or for worse, I came up in the game where people were like, just write the script, just give us the thing, and then we can add whoever to it.
Yeah.
The foreign sales projection model, which is valuable, it's useful, it does make sense, like especially if you want to get eyeballs on your project.
Yeah.
But this world where it's like, we don't care about the story. Look, do you know John Cusack? Can we just get John Cusack in this movie because he's really big in these foreign territories and we can pre-sell the film and make a buck?
Yeah.
I think that way of doing business, that Emmett Furla way of doing business is dying. Where it's like, we're just gonna,
which is a good thing though in a way, because I mean, again, like I told you, I'm starting my acting career, and trust me, it's hard because I'm getting some good auditions and stuff, a lot of great, because I have a great manager, great agent, but it's like some producers or those casting people, they still want those big names right now. But you're right, it is slowly shifting, because again, with Squid Game, with many other projects too that are coming out, so it's definitely something that is for the better, I believe.
What motivates you? What makes you get up? What makes you on that end, on the creative end? Because and the reason I'm asking you this, and I'm going to give you a beat to think about it, is because, man, I had such a fucking like dark night of the soul. Like, it was gnarly, and I know this show is like, oh fuck, like this is really like fucking heavy shit. And I promise we'll get out of this. Like, I promise I'll clear that. We'll talk about rainbows and unicorns and great shit that we're doing. But like, I had this moment, man. It was like, holy shit. It was like 3 months ago, and it was like the world collapsed. It was like everything just bore down on me. Mm-hmm. And I looked over at my partner, and I just go, why are we doing this? Like, let me change the question. Why are you still wanting to make movies and write stories and produce and bring money in? And I asked Andrea that. I said, what is keeping you going? And then she flipped it back on me and was like, well, what's keeping you going? And I just went, holy cow. Like, yeah, at one point in time, I think it was to be known, to be recognized, because nobody believed in me, and I just wanted people to, believe in me. That was Andrea. She's got, there's no way she's going to step on it. But she, she said, what keeps you going? I said, no one really believed in me when I was a kid. In the creative like dream, people believed in me as a person, but not like in whatever my aspirations were.
Yeah.
And now I just want to tell stories with people I love. Like, seriously, like that's it. And I've had experiences with people going like, just assholes, man. Like asshole actors, asshole directors, asshole producers, asshole financiers, and everybody's, brutal, and I can deal with those personalities. But at this point in my life, I'm like, hey man, like if you're not a good person, I'm not fucking with you. Like, walk on. If your whole drive in life is, I got to get that golden statue, I got to get that Oscar, and then maybe I could be somebody. I got to have the #1 film in America, and then maybe I'll be worth something. Then maybe my mother will love me or my father will love me. hey man, take your shit over there,
Yeah.
because I care about writing good stories, working with good people, having a good time, like loving the people I love, man. This life is short. I lost people. Like, I just want to be surrounded by people that are, and that doesn't mean we won't debate or have like conflicting ideas or even argue. That's not what I mean. I'm not avoiding conflict. I just want to work with people who have good intentions,
Yeah.
And so I would flip that to you and just say, like, as hard as it is, because auditioning is rejection, rejection, rejection. You just got to get used to people going, no. What keeps you going at this age where you're just like, I mean, you're just starting, bro. Your future's so bright. Like, what's motivating you? Why do you
Well,
get up?
for acting, and I'll answer for both the acting and my talk show stuff that I do. So for both, and I'll keep it very simple because that's what it is. I'm not gonna overcomplicate it. I really want, and it sounds kind of naive of me to say this, but I really want to change the entertainment industry, man. I really want to bring goodness into this industry. And I know it's really tough to say that, but even for talk shows, man, like I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to make a video about this too. And I'll send you the link after I actually post about it in the next few weeks. But I really want to bring the good time, the simple times back then. I'll give you an example, man. When you watch, like, did you ever watch Johnny Carson and Jay Leno and stuff?
I freaking love Johnny Carson. Like, I watched all those guys. Those
There
guys
you
are
go,
great.
right? So there was okay. Actually, this goes for every guest he's had. You can watch that in your house on TV, okay? You guys are like, and let's say like you're in one area and he's in another area, right? For me, I'm in Canada, he's in the States, right? Two different countries, right? But when I watch him, even like reruns on YouTube, I've never felt so close to the guy. I never felt so in tune with what he's saying, and so I never related so much, right? Now I don't get that anymore. It's funny. Even if I were to go see, let's say, like, I hate to say the names of it, but like, let's say I were, because these are the only people that are doing it right now, Jimmy Kimmel or like Jimmy Fallon or James Corden and stuff. Even if I was in their live studio, for some reason, I would feel so distant because the conversations are very surface level. They don't talk about real things. Like, they don't talk about things we're talking about. What I think the entertainment industry is doing, especially talk shows, what they're doing, it's not just a distraction. Like, that is part of it because they want to, bring light to the world, which is fine. But with Johnny Carson, what he did was that he talked to the person and really picked their brain. Even simple questions. It wasn't just like, all right, we're here to talk about this new thing. Okay, tell us about this film. Yeah. Oh, how's it going? Oh, great film. Yeah. Oh, you're a funny guy. I'm gonna fake laugh. No, it was more like you get the person on and go, like he would ask really sincere, genuine questions sometimes. He would really pick their brain and go like, why is that? Why did you do that? Or, why do you think like this? Like, oh, cool, that's cool. How did you get to that? Like, what made you? So that's what I want to do. And then same with the acting. I just feel like, I've always had this passion. I've always been really into it. I love exploring behavior, because again, I was a barber. I used to cut people's hair. I've dealt with people who had depression, anxiety, things I can relate to. When I act, I really want to kind of really play a character that tells a story, kind of like when you write, you tell a story. I want to act and really, when people watch me, they go, wow, that is, I can relate to that. Like, that is something that, like, that's how someone with, let's say I play a guy with Alzheimer's, right? That's how a guy would actually act. That's great. Wow, I'm inspired. That really and I want to bring that same energy to people. Just how my favorite actors have inspired me. So there.
Yeah. Somebody did that for me. We talked a little bit about this on the phone. Somebody did that for me was, and still does that for me, Shia. And see, like, even when I say that word, I know what's coming, right? Because we're so quick to dismiss people and to push people aside. And look, like, we're here now, so let's just be here now. Like, this is an individual who, I was homeless, man. Like, I was done, and I didn't go to my family for help because I had too much pride. That's on me. And I recognize that. But, I was living out of my car, sleeping in the parking garage behind the acting studio where I was going, the Joanne Baron, D.W. Brown studio in Santa Monica, shout out. And until I came in for an artistic and knew I just put my car up for sale, and that was the last straw. I had nowhere to sleep. I had nowhere to go. And it was like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. when he's been shot and he runs into the audition and he's like, "They killed my baby, I killed him," and he does this great audition. So I do this scene and I'm sobbing, man. I'm crying, and this teacher who was doing this artistic with D.W. Brown. So I'm doing this, and he's like, "Holy shit, man!" Like, like, what's going on, man?
Yeah, he's like, "What the hell's happening?"
Like, you're really going for it. And and he's like, we finished this thing, and he's like, a little too much considering the circumstances. Like, you're acting like your mother was shot in front of you, but the scene doesn't really call for that. But then we had a conversation. I started talking to him, and I'm just like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And that moment was just like so crazy and like so surreal and so hard to like come out of that. And who pulled me out of that was Shia, and not just because he came on board with the film. I'll also say this other guy, Patrick Hibbler, who's Andrea's producing. She just left, and she was like, "He sounds awesome." And she's walking up. But Andrea is an executive producer on this massive film, Marlowe, which is being shot right now. Patrick Hibbler, Patrick Muldoon also is an absolute stud. And Andrea and a bunch of other people, Storyboard Media. Patrick produced Man Down with me. We met each other, and it was like, oh, we're for life. For life, nice. I'm with this guy.
You knew right away.
Knew right away, like stud Italian. That's the good Italian I was telling you about. Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
we talked about the good and the bad ones. I know
yeah. Look, dude, I'm Irish Scottish. Like, I grew up like wanting to reenact gangs of New York with every Italian I met. You know what I mean? Like, but Patrick's just been amazing. And the film is Neil Jordan, right? William Monahan's script. Are you kidding? And then Liam Neeson, Diane Kruger, and it's just such a dynamite of a production. They're shooting in Barcelona, or they're shooting in Spain right now. And Patrick was one of those people who brought me out. And but I had this connection with this guy who not only cared about the role, but since so much of my personal story about being homeless, about losing friends and struggling with PTSD myself and all that stuff, Shia crawled inside my head, and I crawled inside his, and we had really good conversations, and he was sober at the time and really dedicated and treated people really well and really nice. And then, he's had this seesaw because and not making excuses, but he came from just a crazy fucking background and has struggled with a lot of things. And in this recent, things that he did and everything that came out with, abuses and at his hand and things that he's responsible for. They said, look, I'm guilty of it. I did these things. I hurt some people. All of that. I watched everyone run, like just drop and run, and away from him, where he was just alone. And because when I say this dude saved my life, like he did, like, and I don't mean just acting in my film. I mean the conversations we had, the shit we talked about, the texts that we had back and forth, the emails that we have going back and forth, even until this day. Right?
Yeah.
And my opinion was, at the time, I had a conversation with an actor who was also in Man Down, who cut and run from this guy, even though this guy hooked him up with gigs post the film.
Yeah.
And walked away. And I said to him, point blank, no pun intended. I just said, listen, man, what would you do if you were drowning, right? You're drowning. You see the white light at the end of the tunnel. You're dying. It's over. It's a wrap. You're at the bottom of the swimming pool and you are dead. And all of a sudden, you feel a hand on the back of your neck and somebody yanks you out, does CPR on you, and checks on you and says, are you okay? Okay, let's get you to the hospital. Puts you in his car, drives you to the hospital, make sure that you're safe and you're tucked away. And then 3 weeks later, you find out that guy beats his wife. What do you do? Like, are you gonna, and these are the nuanced conversations that we're not having in the world of cancel culture, in the world of, and it's not even cancel culture, because even that has turned into a political thing. Like if you're on the left, you're trying to cancel people, but people on the right are just trying to have free speech, and that's bullshit. Everybody's trying to kill everybody.
Yeah, it's true.
But we're not having nuanced conversations like these. And at the end of the day, it's like, he saved my life. What the fuck do you want me to do? You want me to walk away from the guy? That's not in my character. Like, that's not it. You know, I got friends who've killed people. I have friends, and I don't mean, you know, it's the heart. Like, you know, this guy is a deeply wounded individual. And again, not making excuses. I think, you know, people should pay for what they do. They should make restitution. They should pay the piper, but you don't fucking end someone's life. Yeah. Like, I just, man, it's, you know, and I speaking about him, I love that guy, but you know, I do growing up, I've got friends who are gangsters. I got friends who are drug dealers to this day. You know, I got people that, you know, so friends of mine who've been strippers and escorts and, you know, you name it. And it's like, it's the heart. It's the heart of the person. It's the intention. It's what they've done. And I just refuse, man. I reject this whole narrative that we have of just, you're judged by a moment. I just can't, man. Like, I can't. I know guys that are still sitting in prison, and I've had conversations with guys who've done horrific shit, but you know, and yeah, dude, I don't know, bro. Like, it's a very strange thing, and it's complicated, and we got to force ourselves to have those complicated conversations. You know, I'm a survivor of abuse, you know, and I think there are certain lines that you can cross that there's no coming back from. But I think that requires deep conversation and nuanced conversations. You know, it's that thing of like, you got to have a path for people. You got to have a path for people who want to make amends, make restitution, not because they're caught. There's got to be a system in play where we can get into that and create a path for people to make restitution, to obtain forgiveness and arrive at a certain place. Because we all have shit. We all have varying degrees of things that we do. And we got to build and be better people and work together instead of hacking off limbs and cutting people down. Sorry to go off on this tangent, man. I know people watching this are like, this motherfucker's had way too much coffee, but I feel
man. No, this is amazing stuff, man. This is amazing stuff. And honestly, like that kind of leads on to my last thing I was going to ask you too, because with all this stuff you've been through, all the good, the bad, everything, I want to know, before we end off the show, what is a quote that you live by, and what's something that you can, I guess, tell the audience for some words of advice?
It's always darkest before it goes completely dark.
Wait, I gotta think about that one for a second. Hold on. It's always what are you, the Riddler now? I'm trying to think of this. Hold on. It's always
no, I'm just kidding. You know that everybody loves to say it's always darkest before the dawn. And I'm like, it's always darkest before it goes completely black. Like that's
what I was kind of thinking. I'm like, wait, I gotta think about this one.
Yeah, it's like, no, man. Like anybody, anybody who thinks that, just hold on, the light will come. Maybe, or maybe you're fucked.
Well, if you live in Antarctica, it's daytime all the time. So there you go.
Oh, dude, no, but let me say this. There's a quote that I really love, and I've always gotten it wrong. And whenever anybody's asked me about it, there it is. Anybody's asked me about it, I always get it wrong. This is it. Alexander Pope. They're credited. This quote is always, people always say Calvin Coolidge, president of the United States, or said it, but it wasn't him. It was this guy. He says, nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and diligence alone are omnipotent. So keep going. And it doesn't matter, people are like, if you're a talented kid, you're going to make it. If you're a genius, you're going to make it. If you just keep going, you're going to make it. There are no assurances that you're going to make it. But you can come out the other end for yourself, a better person, stronger, smarter, more creative, more adept, more nimble. You can learn things and cultivate your craft. And that really should be the goal. Just keep going, because at the very least, you come out of that having learned something. At the most, maybe you hit that target in a way and it's seen by enough people that they go, we're gonna hire this kid, we're gonna put this kid in a film, or we're gonna take his script, or we're gonna slide him in as a director or whatever. But there's no assurances. And in America, and particularly in the entertainment industry, guys who win the fucking lottery, just because you won the lottery, imagine that, because that statistically, that's really what it is, right? The guys who are at the top making like hundreds of millions of dollars, or $50 million, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Imagine winning the lottery and going back and saying, I won the lottery and so can you. You just have to work hard and this is what you have to do. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
But what you can do in this industry is you can work, you can find consistent work and pay the bills and do that and work to become a better person and a better artist. That should be the goal. And anything that comes after that is that's just great.
A bonus, yeah.
Yeah, that's all that is.
Well, that's awesome, Matt. Well, listen, Matt, Adam, I wanted to thank you for coming on today and talk about this stuff. It was really inspiring and motivational, and I just learned a lot about you and your story, and I related to a lot of stuff you said. So I really
sorry for the rants. Sorry for the rambling.
No, man, this is but this is, my shows are always geared towards the guy. I would love, imagine you come on and go, it's like, oh, hey, Adam, tell me about your story. It's great. Oh, cool. So I appreciate you just being open about things, because not many people are, and I appreciate you. We have to make that more what's it called? We have to make us more socially acceptable to be open about your life, and like for everybody to be open about their life and stuff. So
brother, let me say, like, some of the best writers I know aren't working. Like, some of the best writers I know are not working. But yeah, I would just say, man, keep going. I'm excited for your future, dude. Like, I don't know, there's something, like, mark my words, like there's a little something, and people can look back on this interview and just be like, oh, like, I really think you've got your finger on the right rhythm of where things are moving in this space. And I think you're just going to kill it.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, man. And I wish nothing but the best for you too. And I hope to stay in touch, man, honestly.
Dude, I'm coming out to Toronto soon. Like, we'll get the squad together, dude. But dude, Canada, like, my friends in Toronto are just, you will not meet a better crew of people, man.
When are you coming? And what's it for?
So I'm coming out there. I got some meetings with some people. My brother, my business partner, my writing partner, Noah Danby. We've got some projects we're doing together. He's just a brilliant human being. So I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna post up with him for a little bit. We're trying to get the details because this quarantine thing is so weird. So we're trying to navigate it. Yeah. But when I get out there, I'll hit you up. We'll come out.
Absolutely, man. Whenever you're down, just hit me up and we'll make it work. I'm excited. We'll take some cool pictures. We'll go for a drink or.
Oh, dude, that'd be dope. You've ever been to like EFS, like the club?
No, but I've heard of it. Sorry, I blanked out. Yeah, I've never been, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, or like there's some just really great like clubs and bars
Yeah,
and stuff. Toronto's life out of control.
there's one called Rebel.
Rebel, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that,
What's your favorite watering hole? What's your favorite spot in Toronto? Like, give me your favorite place to eat and your favorite place to get drinks and just hang.
well, I live in the suburbs, but in the city you're talking about, or you mean in
Hmm.
general? Like, okay, in the city.
Hey, in general, fuck it.
In general, ooh, tough one. Okay, my favorite place. I love Italian food. Okay, so my favorite Italian spot
Hell yeah.
is Giulietta. I believe it's on King Street, if I'm not mistaken,
There we
or
go.
College. I could be butchering that, but Giulietta
Juliet.
with a Giu, and then Liet, like Giulietta, like that. Amazing
Yo,
restaurant, pure authentic Italian food, amazing. And then honestly, I went to this cool archery place with my girlfriend 2 days ago. It's
did
called
you say
Archer.
archery?
Yeah, archery. Yeah,
Archery, like fucking bows and arrows and shit.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, what is it?
It's called Archer's Arena. It's a little expensive, but it's fun, man. Like, I mean, I had the foam tips, like my first time going with her, so we were practicing like
Right, right.
targets and shit. But it's actually fun. My arm is a little sore, but it was good, worth it.
Dude, that's cool. That's cool as shit. I know that axe throwing stuff is
I'm, I'm,
really
I'm a little
popular.
nervous to go for that. Even my girlfriend's a little nervous because you never know. You might throw
I
it.
just see that like guys like doing shots and drinking and then throwing axes, and I'm like,
Hey guys, you want to see me
I'm
do it?
game.
Do
Let's
this.
go.
Look, man, no hands. Yeah,
That's
literally, yeah, that would not end
so
well.
great.
Yeah,
That's awesome, buddy.
yeah.
Well, we'll
Well,
do it. We'll come out and do it.
thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it, and we'll stay in touch. I'll let you know when this is airing. I'm excited.
All right, brother. Absolutely, 100%.
Take
Appreciate
care,
you, man.
man.